This story follows Ivan, a man who lives in the neighborhood of the arts in a small western New York City. Over the past 10 years, he's moved around a decent amount, from his hometown where he currently resides, to Orlando, Florida, to another city in western New York, and then finally back to his hometown. He had lived in a couple different apartments since moving back to his hometown. None of them anything special, until he finally found what seemed to be the perfect apartment in the attic of an old mansion that was converted into apartments. It was downtown in the neighborhood of the arts, an ideal place to live for young, artistic, creative individuals. Ivan moved in with one of his childhood best friends since it was a 3-bedroom and he would need roommates in order to maintain the rent for the place. The first year living there was uneventful, which was ideal for Ivan. As far as neighbors, there were 2 men who were likely a couple that always got into fights so loud that everyone in the building could hear, and on one occasion, one of them locked the other out of their apartment naked, and given that the mansion was across the street from a school, the cops were called. But as long as they didn't involve Ivan or his roommates, they would try to stay out of any of the drama. After about a year of living there, a young couple, a guy and a girl in their late 20s to early 30s, moved into apartment 2, and they seemed friendly at first, and always said hi when passing in the hall or anytime Ivan would be hanging out on the front porch. They were pretty decent neighbors for the first year to year and a half that they lived there. One day, Ivan came home from work and noticed that someone had put some furniture on the front porch. Ivan immediately assumed it was the couple in apartment 2 since they had an entrance to their apartment right on the porch. As he was getting ready to head into the building, the guy living in apartment 2 came out and introduced himself as John and told Ivan that he wanted to build a community within the apartment building. Ivan, being a people person and caring about his community, was initially all for this idea. For the next few days, Ivan would come down after he got home from work and hang out on the porch since it was springtime and he wanted to enjoy the nice weather. He would sit on the couch on the porch and either read a book or work on his computer, and for the time being, it seemed nice that the community porch was set up. A few days after he met John, Ivan found him and another one of his neighbors talking on the porch about something that happened. Someone had stolen another neighbor's motorcycle from the driveway. Everybody ended up having a small tenant meeting where they waited for the cops to show up and tried to make the one neighbor whose motorcycle had been stolen feel better. When the cops showed up, Ivan went up to his apartment and let the police do their jobs. The next day, when Ivan got out of work, he walked into his apartment and his roommate asked him about John, mentioning that he left gifts for every apartment. Everyone got something different. Ivan and his roommate's gift was a shoebox filled with comics, books, toys, and chocolates. The roommates agreed the gifts seemed odd, but at the time, Ivan's odd gesture could still just be seen as friendly. But then, Ivan's roommate told him something that started to make him uncomfortable about John. His name wasn't John, it was Sean. Ivan considered the fact that maybe he misheard his name since they can sound similar, until he remembered that the guy even spelled out his name for Ivan as John when they first talked. Later on that same night, Ivan's other roommate, who had moved in at the end of the previous year, came home after seeing his daughters and told Ivan that Sean was outside asking for him. He told him that when he was walking up to the building, Sean had come out from the shadows of the side of the building, wearing only a pair of shorts. He asked Ivan's roommate to have him come down and help him get something out of his trunk. After everything that was stacking up, Ivan knew there was no way he was going down there to help him. Something felt wrong to him, rightfully so. Ivan woke up the next morning to go to work, and on his way out of the building, he stopped on his porch, and in the middle of his front yard was what Ivan described as a hobo garden. Sean had set up a bunch of garbage around a half-empty refrigerator that had the door ripped off. There was broken glass everywhere, and there was a patch of dirt dug up in front of it, as you can see in this picture taken by Ivan. Not only was this an extreme eyesore, but this would also be freakishly weird of somebody to do. Ivan immediately called his landlord and told him that he was not okay with that and that Sean was starting to weird everyone out. They told him they would address it, and so Ivan left it at that and went to work. When he got home from work, some of the garbage had been moved to the side of the road, but no one was around. Ivan decided that it would be better to just go up to his apartment and not get involved anymore, since he was starting to feel like something wasn't right. Ivan was only in his apartment for about 5 minutes at most before he started hearing yelling coming from outside the bedroom window, not directed towards him, just loud yelling coming from outside. When he looked outside his window, he saw Sean throwing the garbage from the yard into the street. He was freaking out, apparently yelling to himself. Then another one of Ivan's neighbors, Mark, ran up to him and tried to calm him down. One of Ivan's roommates returns home at this time, and he decided to try to help calm him down as well. After a few minutes, things went silent other than the sounds of cars driving down the street. Ivan's roommate then came inside and started telling him about Sean's freakout outside. Sean had been yelling that he doesn't think he did anything wrong. By this point, it was clear that Sean was an unhinged individual, and so Ivan told his roommate to try not to interact with him if possible. Things seemed to be getting worse and worse. It was only a few hours later that Ivan started to hear more yelling and even started feeling the building walls shake a little bit. Someone was arguing with someone, and things were clearly getting physical, evident by all the noise and shaking. Ivan contemplated calling the police, but decided to text his neighbor Mark first, since he lived on the same floor as Sean. Mark didn't text back right away, not until after things seemed to calm down. Mark told Ivan that Sean got into a huge fight with his girlfriend, and Mark once again had tried to calm him down, and in response, Sean tried to fight Mark. Mark called the cops on him, and Sean ended up being taken to the station by the police. Things didn't end there though. In fact, things only got worse. That Friday night, Ivan stayed at his girlfriend's apartment after the couple had a date night.
Guys, this was just kind of like uneventful. I don't know what the fuck this is. Usually his videos are good. This was not it at all. I don't know what the fuck that was. What the fuck?
Where all of Mark's car burned to the ground, completely destroyed. Sean was erratic and dangerous, and now all the tenants were living in fear of what he would do next. The next night, all the tenants in the building had a meeting on the front porch. Mark filled everybody in on all the information that he gathered on Sean. Apparently, Mark had been in contact with Sean's mother, who was trying to smooth things over by being...
Hey, give me 1 point ducks. After that, I want to do, you want to send it? Saying DM him or not?
Transparent with Mark. He found out...
Okay, then watch it. Okay, then you know what I'm gonna do? We only have 2 more.
Feeling down, can't seem